Well, it is a gorgeous morning here in Columbia, Missouri for the 106th edition of Homecoming as the Tigers welcome Idaho out of the Sun Belt Conference, although they are moving to the FCS level after the 2017 season. Missouri trying to get back to their winning ways. Idaho has lost a couple of games in a row as well. You are watching SEC Network Football presented by Allstate. And a pleasant good morning, everybody. I'm Dave Deal alongside former Georgia All-American Matt Stinchcomb. And Matt, let's face it, it has not been a stellar go of it to this point for Missouri. They've lost 5 straight games after their opening win, but they're coming off a game in Athens where I guess if you're Barry Odom, there are some positives to take away as you have the second half of the season where there are some winnable games. It needs to be a building block game for the Missouri Tigers because, as you mentioned, Dave, the season hasn't unfolded the way that they would have liked, but a defense that was opportunistic early, you generate a turnover, and then you capitalize on it. The first takeaway they've scored off of since the opening game, and then Drew Lock having a career day in a conference game, the best performance he's ever had, 4 touchdown passes, and the big play was very prominent last week versus Georgia. They're going to build on that. That's kind of been the hallmark of this offense for Missouri all season long, the big plays. Can they stage drives versus the Idaho Vandal defense today? Well, we'll see how that plays out as Missouri will get the football first against the Vandals. Out of Moscow, Idaho. Drew Lock. Well, we talked about his week just 7 days ago, played very well, but when he's on, he is as dangerous as any quarterback in this league. And they've got playmakers at the wide receiver spot as well. If he can get it outside, it's not just downfield, quick throws underneath. If they can get good perimeter blocking, we've seen this offense be explosive with their perimeter players. They need to eliminate drops. It's been an issue earlier, but right now playing solid football at the quarterback position. So we'll see how fast this Missouri offense will run today as Locke looking to throw on first down. Plenty of time over the middle, and it's picked off. Armand Hawkins with the interception, and Idaho will have the football inside the 35 after the 20-yard return. His first pick of the year for the senior. Missouri goes maximum protection. They wanted to make sure that Locke had a clean pocket to throw from. This is reminiscent of his interception throw versus Georgia last week. I'm not sure what he was thinking when he let this ball go. I don't know if he had more time than usual. It's such a hyperactive offense. But that was an easy interception for Armand Hawkins from his safety position. Gets right underneath the first play of the game in a short field for the Vandals. So Matt Linehan, the quarterback, kicks up a low snap, and he will be wrapped up and dropped for a loss of 3 on the play. Brandon Lee making the stop for Missouri. There is a look at Linehan, the senior quarterback, and there is a lot to like about this young man. He has taken a bunch of snaps over the last 4 years. Well, he's one of those guys obviously climbing the record books, not only at Idaho, but at the Sun Belt Conference level. He's going to be one of the top passers in that conference's history, already showing his athleticism fielding that first snap. Well, stay on the ground here. Aaron Duckworth breaks free. He's inside the 15 and pushed out of bounds around the 10-yard line. That's a 25-yard run. Caleb Pruitt pushes him out of bounds. Duckworth is their explosive playmaker on the Vandal offensive side. 3 of their 4 big plays this year have come from this young man, not just as a rusher, a danger as well as a receiver out of the backfield. A nice bounce run to get to the outside and showed some speed. 2 tight end set for the Vandals. They'll work out of that pistol formation. On a 1st and goal, they'll hand it off to Duckworth. He'll be wrapped up by Therese Hall after a gain of 2. This Idaho team coming off a game where they lost a 20-point second-half lead to Appalachian State last week. This is a team that coming off a bowl win a year ago. Really surprised some folks around the country with 9 wins under Paul Petrino. But a sluggish 2-4 start here in 2017. The difference in the 2 seasons have been how they've closed games. Last year they were able to close out close possession games, able to get wins late. This year they've leaked points and seeded victories late in games. Linehan, play fake, trying to go to the end zone, and there it is, touchdown. 7 yards out. Caden Ellis, who plays linebacker, slides over to tight end on a few plays to get some production, and he comes up big.
Well, Coach Petrino, not only the head coach, but the play caller for the Vandals, they said that we were going to get some looks from Caden Ellis on the offensive side of the ball. He was a quarterback in high school, had 5 picks last year, led all linebackers at the FBS level, showing his hands on offense.
Cade Coffey, the point after, and just like that, Idaho on the road starts with some defense.
It couldn't have started any worse for Missouri, any better for Idaho. A pick from Drew Locke here at homecoming. They get a short field, and the Idaho Vandals get that fast start they were looking for on the road.
Well, Matt Linehan with a touchdown pass to his linebacker / tight end, Caden Ellis, has put the Vandals up 7-0. Only played 2 minutes and 3 seconds of this game. And now Missouri and Larry Roundtree will bring it out of the end zone. And Larry hit at the 20 and dropped there. Once again, down on the sidelines, Dawn Davenport. Let's join her. Hey, Dawn.
Well, Dave, head coach Barry Odom talked to his team about bringing their own energy today with this early kick, and they need this early. He actually pulled clips from other teams across the country, Mississippi State, some old Baylor games, put those on a reel, showed his team the sidelines and how they manufacture their own energy, and told his team this is what they had to do today, especially if things got tough. It looks like they're going to utilize that here early.
Yeah, tough is an understatement. First play of the game, an interception by Drew Locke led to the touchdown by Idaho. Let's see how Locke and company will go here. They'll keep it on the ground. Ish Witter with the carry, and there's a flag at the 21-yard line, the back of the backfield. Let's take a look at today's starting lineups, brought to you by Bass Pro Shops. And certainly the deep ball is an important part of this Missouri offense, but they're going to be without a running back today. And Demarie Crockett, so the run game now takes center stage.
Yeah, that's something that they've been seeking all season long. Where's the balance? Because they know that they want those big explosive plays in the passing attack, and Ish Witter is going to have to step up and fill the void in the absence of Demarie Crockett, already with a nice run, but now negated by a holding penalty from Trevor Sims at his guard spot.
Locke, here he is, going up top, has his man pass caught. They will say reception by Emmanuel Hall down at the Idaho 44-yard line.
Well, this is something that concerned defensive coordinator Mike Bresky. He said, look, they're faster than we are. Their guys can run right past our coverage. And so because of that, they had to recognize there was a chance that they could get over top. Big plays have not been very frequent versus the Vandals secondary, one of the best in the country. Only 5 pass plays allowed of more than 30 yards, and Missouri able to hit a big one early here.
45 yards on that pickup. Locke going up top, trying to hit Hall again, just overthrows him. By the way, that's now 12 plays over 50 yards for Missouri. That ties Stanford for the top spot in that department. Take a look at our Idaho Vandal defensive lineup, and right there in the middle, Tony Lashley, 33, their middle backer. He seems to get his nose in on every play.
Oh, he's one of those guys that doesn't need a whole lot of help. Number 3 in all of the FBS and solo tackles. He averages about 7 of them a game. Very active, spends a lot of time in the middle of the defense, as you mentioned, tackle to tackle. A very, very proficient guy at his linebacker position, able to get ball carriers on the ground, and has been a big part of the Vandal run defense.
Out of Kansas City, Missouri, has a bunch of friends and family here in Columbia this weekend. So 2nd down and 10. Locke throws while he's under pressure. Pass is bobbled and then caught on that far side. They're going to say that is a 1st down catch by Jamon Moore. Pick up a 14 yards and matches his catch total from last week in Athens, Georgia.
Well, Leonard Hayeswood was in the backfield quickly, and this is part of the reason why they don't have many negative yardage plays. Athleticism at quarterback and athleticism at receiver.
Jamon Moore, they're going to say he was down as the ball popped out, but another gain of 11.
Already Jamon Moore doubling his production from last week. Only one catch for 8 yards versus Georgia. Bales Drew Lock out on the previous catch, and then this one able to convert the sticks for a first.
Over the middle, pass caught, touchdown, Missouri. 19 yards out as they hit Albert O.
You mean Okwuegbunam? That's right, buddy. And he had a touchdown catch last week as well on a shovel pass from Drew Lock, and they love his athleticism. Big body, an able blocker, a guy who's willing to get his nose in there in the run game, but also athletic as a receiver, and in the end zone again to give Missouri a chance to knot it up.
They have gone to Okwuegbunam a lot now. He's kind of been their tight end of choice of late, and you can see why. Okwuegbunam, the redshirt freshman out of Springfield, Illinois. His 3rd touchdown of the season ties the game at 7.
Network Football is presented by Allstate, official protector of college football fans.
Well, Missouri claims that they created homecoming back in 1911. Illinois actually had a homecoming in 1910, but it wasn't a formal operation. It's all about the formality of homecoming. So Missouri claims that they had it back in 1911 when former AD Chester Brewer called for alumni to come home for their annual game versus Kansas. Ended up tying that game back in 1911. And speaking of ties, that is what we have here, 7-7.
Ties is probably what made it so formal, right?
Exactly. Short kick. Out to the 25-yard line. Well, Matt Linehan certainly is a name that football fans might know. His father, Scott, the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys, also great quarterback at Idaho. But this young man has really stepped up in the eyes of a lot of folks thinking about quarterbacks at the next level.
Well, you talk about Mel Kiper's big board among the senior quarterbacks that are going to be entering the NFL draft. Mel Kiper's got Matt Linehan at number 4. And he's a guy that, as we mentioned, has been a very prolific passer and is a good athlete. He will scramble today if Missouri is able to disrupt that pocket and move him off of his spot.
High throw. Incomplete. Onenwar was the intended target. But there is what Mel Kiper Jr. thinks of this senior quarterback and where he falls in line with other senior quarterbacks around the country. And that's a pretty good list.
You're looking at that, no kidding. I mean, you're talking about guys that have been or are Heisman candidates. Luke Falk on the Washington State team, obviously a one-loss team. Mason Rudolph out of Oklahoma State in a big scoring offense as well. And, of course, Baker Mayfield piling up almost 12,000 passing yards.
No gain on that play.
Well, the matchup today that'll be interesting to watch is this Idaho offensive front versus Missouri. Missouri's stronger up front than they ever have been this entire season because of the return of A.J. Logan, a guy that missed the first half of the season due to an academic fraud suspension. He's done everything right, and they've gotten him back in the lineup, and he and Terry Beckner together make this a pretty formidable defensive front to face versus an oversized and what will likely be an overmatched Idaho offensive front, especially in 3rd and long scenarios like this down.
Delay of game against Idaho.
Delay of game. And the offense, number 10, 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
We should note Paul Petrino there not very happy, obviously, with Matt Linehan wanting him to operate that offense. You're already in a 3rd and long. Now you've got another 5 yards. I'll be surprised if we don't see a draw or a run right here, as opposed to risking your quarterback under pressure and making a bad decision versus a front they can get after you as a passer. And again, Missouri showing 5 potential rushers on the line of scrimmage.
Pocket collapses. Linehan dropped at the 22-yard line. They'll get a couple of yards out of that, but a fourth down situation coming up now for Idaho.
Trey Williams, a guy up front, actually was the benefit of pretty good coverage downfield, nowhere to go with the football. And that's something that Missouri's going to seek to do. And of course, we're going to see a couple of really good punters today as well. Cade Coffey's a guy that can flip the field and help in the field position battle.
Averaging 46.5 yards per punt. Dad, a former Idaho Vandal as well, redshirted last year. Guy grew up playing soccer in England, then returned to the U.S. when he was in 8th grade. His dad played tight end and linebacker back in the early 90s.
Offside on the defense, number 1, in the neutral zone, causing the offense to react. 5-yard penalty, fourth down.
Oh, Anthony Hines getting a little too anxious. 3-5 now for Idaho. Cade Coffey. Floyd back to return this punt. A line drive kick that will take a nice bounce for Floyd. Little stutter step. He's got some room. Floyd stays in bounds. Touchdown. No flags. 85 yards.
You mentioned the nice hop that kick took. This is an artificial surface. It bounced right to Rashad Floyd. It couldn't have been any better. Caught it on the hop, ran into that catch as he received the punt, was able to gain momentum quickly. A nice block by Grant Jones, number 15, to spring him. He showed some really good speed down the boundary to get in the end zone.
Point after, up and good. 85-yard punt return by Rashad Floyd. Last year was Jonathan Johnson on the punt return duty. He led the league in punt returns, but Floyd gets his opportunity and takes it 85 yards.
It's the hop that bounced right up. Jones with the nice block. We got another one to spring him loose. Did a good job really setting up blocks all the way down the field and then was able to get outside, show his speed to get in the end zone. And Missouri able to answer because this game could not have started more poorly, really, with the interception, short field. You give up a touchdown. You answer with a big play, you get it in the end zone, and then special teams after a defensive stop.
Personal foul on the defense for leaping. That 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. The try is good.
So just like that, Missouri, after giving up the initial touchdown just 2 minutes into this game, 14 unanswered points.
Talk about some of the skill position players, and a lot of them happen to be at receiver. Rashad Floyd is a guy that they've seek to kind of emerge at his wide receiver position. He's been relatively quiet, had a pretty big start to the season when we were here versus Missouri State. But they've lost a guy in Demetrius Mason. So Rashad Floyd and others are going to have to step up. Right here in the middle, you're going to see a leap. It's Hayeswood. You just can't do this anymore. They're saying he's going to run and try to leap over a defender.
Well, Nick Bartolotta will kick off. He actually hit that extra point a moment ago. From the 50-yard line. Out to the 25-yard line. Idaho's offense will come onto the field. Now let's take a look at today's keys to the game, brought to you by Lending Tree.
You know, for Idaho, one of the things they need to do is to win on those early downs. Exactly the opposite of what we saw in their initial possession. Stay out of those third and obvious. And from the Missouri defense, they're going to bring pressure. If they can win with 4, they will. They were able to do that on Idaho's previous possession, win with just their down 4. But if not, don't be surprised to see some second-level pressure looks versus an offensive front that has really struggled to protect the pass.
By the way, that punt return by Floyd, longest for Missouri since 1960. Don Smith went 88 yards against Iowa State that year. Third longest punt return for a touchdown in Tiger history. Linehan, wobbly throw, just out of reach of Muela.
Muela's a guy that, if they can get him some looks, especially downfield, try to stretch the defense of Missouri. That time singled up, had a step on the defender, just a little bit too much from Linehan, and a missed opportunity downfield.
Idaho's offense averaging 25 points a game, 22 points a game. 102nd in the country, 81st in the country in rushing, 76th in the country in passing. And they point to an offensive line that really hasn't gelled. They were pretty solid at that spot a year ago, and now today they've even had to make a few changes up front as well, as Connor Verba, their center, a little banged up. He's not playing, so Zion Dixon moves over to center from guard, and Maxim Moore making his first collegiate action, the true freshman, on the road in an SEC stadium.
And we got a guy who's sending shotgun snaps, who's just not used to doing that. We've already seen a few circus snaps for Linehan to field.
5-man rush by Missouri. Pass is caught by Jacob Sannon. He'll pick up 5. He'll be a couple of yards shy of the line to gain, which is at the 35-yard line.
Well, Josh Bledsoe has ended up going to make this play as the reception is made, and Bledsoe's a guy that's gotten more and more looks because defensively they've had to get away from Caleb Pruitt. They started the year, they kind of had Caleb Pruitt in that hybrid linebacker role. Because he could cover, they could leave him on the field. He's been supplanted by Brandon Lee, so more nickel packages for Missouri.
Coffey's punt. Much better hang time. Fair catch called for. That time it was Johnson back there. 52-yard kick. 14-7 game here in Como. Well, last week in Athens, Georgia, this Missouri team had a pretty solid first half, and then things kind of unraveled from there, including this injury to their leading rusher, Demarie Crockett. He is out of this game, perhaps next week as well, with a bad shoulder. The young man set the school freshman rushing record a season ago, and that means Ish Witter, 5'10", 200-pound senior out of Tampa, is going to get a lot of the work today. We'll also see the true freshman Larry Roundtree kind of tote the pigskin around here at Memorial Stadium today. Big game for Ish against Kentucky when he went for 139. But here's the freshman Roundtree in the backfield. They'll throw to the wide side. Jamon Moore spins out of one tackle, stays on his feet, spins out of a couple of opportunities for Vandals to bring him down. Ed Hall finally pushes him out of bounds, but a 15-yard pickup.
Those throws are going to be there, too. When you see the off coverage, it's just easy. Just throw it out there to Jamon Moore, who's a big physical receiver, not just fast. He's got great length and able to shed tacklers.
4-man rush, but time for Locke. Going up top. Haskett has got to make a play, and he does. Jonathan Johnson. Cedric Thomas was back there to defend the pass, but Johnson just ripped it out of his hands.
We mentioned Jonathan Johnson's a great punt returner. This is basically a punt. I mean, that ball hung up there forever. Johnson does a great job boxing out Cedric Thomas in coverage and coming up with a big catch.
Handoff brought down by Ellis. Boy, we heard Josh Heupel yesterday in our meetings talk about it. If we get that first down on a drive, we're stepping on the gas.
Well, that's just their MO, right? They love to get into that up-tempo offense. It's where they live. There's been a lot of conversation in games about slowing the pace down. You see here, not a ton of red zone possessions for this offense, more deliberate close to the end zone.
Block to throw over the middle. Jamon Moore, touchdown Tigers, 15 yards. That did not take very long at all. Well, I just don't know how you defend that slant to these receivers.
Once Jamon Moore gets across the defender's face, if you put it in the spot, Drew Lock certainly can do that, an accurate passer. You could say Jamon Moore really asserting himself early in this game. Josh Heupel, Drew Lock getting their big playmaker receiver involved early and opening it up offensively versus Idaho.
Bartolota will attempt the point after. And he will split the uprights. Big plays again, another one. 50 yards to Jamon Moore. Sets up the Tigers. As a matter of fact, that's 13 plays over 50 yards. That's tops in the country now for Missouri. Jonathan Johnson, good hands. Jamon Moore, he knows what to do with it.
Ding.
21 straight for the Missouri Tigers. Big play, a big part of that. And Jamon Moore, certainly a young man that is getting some work now. He had a personal foul, only one catch last week against Georgia. And, Barry Odom certainly upset in a situation like that on the road when your team's playing pretty well, but it seems like they're trying to get him involved today.
Yeah, they want to make sure that he can be a big playmaker for the Missouri offense. Get him engaged, get him impassioned. He's an emotional guy, and you can see why. A guy that whenever he has the ball in his hands can be an explosive player.
Hey, college football continues right here on the SEC Network in Starkville. And a good one going on. Mississippi State and Kentucky coming your way at 4 o'clock Eastern. Then to cap off the day, 21st ranked Auburn and Arkansas. It's our SEC Saturday night game. Both those also streaming live on the ESPN app. Kerryon Johnson for Auburn, by the way, 13 touchdowns, for the most in the country. So Mason Petrino getting a little bit of work. Coach Paul Petrino told us that Mason's been a little banged up, but might get some snaps in this game just to give Linehan a little break.
Number 23, Aaron Duckworth.
Aaron Duckworth on that carry. But Petrino also has played a little bit of wide receiver this year, the sophomore, coach's son.
You see him in there. There's Linehan on the sideline. He's been knocked around a good bit this year. I think the anticipated quarterback was going to take some shots. This certainly looks like it would be premeditated to get Mason Petrino some early reps.
Petrino kept it and is swallowed up by that front. Jordan Harold, the senior defensive end, will get credit for the initial hit, loss of 6.
We end up losing on a back block, and Jordan Harold's able to get upfield quickly. Ends up making this play. Great job by the defensive end, not only defeating the block of Josh Herman, but getting upfield quickly. And Mason Petrino, short cameo, gets in there and gets back out. Kept his receiver gloves on. He didn't anticipate a throw, that's for sure. And Linehan right back into the game.
Walks into a 3rd and 14, does Matt Linehan. Only a 3-man rush, and the pocket collapses. Beckner chases him down at the 25. The big fella at 305 pounds, his 3rd sack of the year.
When I watched Missouri's game versus Georgia last week, albeit it was not a victory, I thought number 5 for Missouri was playing some really good football. And you're looking at a guy who's just relentless in his pass rush, does a good job, gets some help from his friends, Marcel Frazier and others, able to flush Linehan out of the pocket.
Watch the takedown move. Brings that leg around as he drags.
It's almost like steer wrestling. Right. Really impressive.
Here goes Floyd again. Already an 85-yard punt return for a touchdown. This one inside the 40 of Idaho. Rashawn Crawford brings him down, a 33-yard return. Well, Idaho got off to a quick start after an interception. Caden Ellis on the receiving end of that 7-yard touchdown pass. Then Missouri would answer with 21 straight touchdown pass, punt return. And then the final one a moment ago to Jamon Moore. And those Didn't take a lot of time to score. They are the quickest scoring team you will find. Lock today, 7 of 9 already, 169 yards.
Well, those are the big plays, right? You have 7 completions, and you've already put up a close to 170 yards on the board. The one bad throw, obviously, the pick, the first play of the game.
Out to the wide side of the field, and wide open is Jamon Moore.
I mean, right now, Idaho, they've already seen some balls over their head, so now they're giving up cushion. Look, you see a defender, they're not even in the picture. So you're talking about 12, 15 yards worth of cushion versus a team that's not scared to make quick horizontal throws.
Over the middle, there it is. Touchdown again. Albert Okwubanam, his second of the day.
It's the same throws we saw in the first touchdown. And you can see once again, this is one of the best pass defenses in the country, but they're facing an offense that if they get into rhythm, they're able to get downfield quickly and get you onto your heels.
Boy, they have found a soft spot in the middle of that defense. One after. Bartolota up and good. Albert Okwubanam with his second touchdown today, 4 on the season. A flag again on a point after. Second time we've seen that today on the far side of the field.
5 into the 5-yard penalty. Replay the try.
For an illegal formation there. So they had 5 in the backfield. Maybe one of the wings was pulled back a little bit too far on that point after try.
So we'll get to do it again. Tucker McCann, normally the kicker for Missouri, but today we're getting Bartolota a lot. McCann was 6 of 8 on field goals, 20 of 21 on PATs. We'll try to get an update. Didn't get any word from our coaches in our meetings yesterday. And Bartolota misses the extra point as they step him back 5 yards. But back to the touchdown, and Albert O, heavily involved in the offense today.
You'll see him right here. Just off the right hip of Paul Adams. Not going to do anything crazy. Going to work right up this hash. Underneath and right in between the coverage. Caden Ellis was coming over from his strong side linebacker position. Doesn't fall back in time. Drew Lock finds his big target at tight end for his second touchdown catch of this game. Building on that performance from a week ago versus the University of Georgia. And Barry Odom, you could tell, is really excited about what he has in number 81. The tight end position they thought could be a pretty big component of their offense, especially as receivers, but also in the run game, blocking at the point of attack. Says it hadn't been the case necessarily top to bottom, but he loves what they have in Okwubanam, not only as a receiver, but a guy who's willing to contribute when they try to get that balance in their rushing attack.
Blues football, scooped up, and Missouri had it for a moment. Did they retain possession? It appears that they have. Missouri football. And this is on the verge of getting out of hand.
See, running up to try to field this, and it looked like a really late jump to try to field the kick. Never really possessed it, goes right between the hands, bounces off the knee, and squirts forward versus the coverage unit. Ronell Perkins from Missouri able to come up with that fumble recovery on the muffed return. And you're right. You're talking about a game that looked as if couldn't have started any better for Idaho, and it has not looked pretty ever since.
So from the 20-yard line, first down and 10, Tigers. There goes Ish Witter, and he gets it to the 15, maybe just about a half a yard outside of the 15, picks up 4.5 yards. Tony Lashley, Dorian Clark combined for the tackle.
we talk about the big plays. Missouri only had 16 red zone snaps all season. The possessions that made it into that red zone area, they've had multiple this game.
Big hit at the 15-yard line. That'll be it. Lashley getting credit for that tackle. He has three of those today, and up to 67 on the year to lead the team.
Another solo from Lashley. A guy just a tackling machine. And that's a clinic reel right there. Come in low, wrap up, hands behind his knees, and drive your feet. You can see why he's so active and such a prolific tackler for that Vandal defense, right in the middle.
To the corner of the end zone, looking for Emmanuel Hall, but a flag is down.
I think they had a free play. Missouri drew both ends of the Vandal defense into the neutral zone. Leonard Hayeswood among them.
Offside on the defense, number 97. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. The yardage results in a first down.
Hakeem Coleman, the other offender, a guy that led the Sun Belt in tackles for loss last year. He spent quite a bit of time in the backfield this year, 8.5 tackles for loss, and Coleman just a little early.
Quick hitter over the middle and looking for Hall. No flag on the play. Thomas on the coverage for the Vandals.
A little high on that throw, trying to stab one in there on a quick slant to Hall. Be surprised if they don't work back to Hall this time. Maybe slant and go, a quick little inside and then back to the corner.
Boy, what a day. Albert Okuwebanam, his third touchdown reception of the day.
That's just too easy. I mean, we've seen it. Now the second touchdown pass we've seen on just a quick slant. Okuwebanam just gets right in front of Jordan Grabsky. He's got size, obviously, to his advantage, but it's just a quick stab, really, for Drew Lock.
So Bartolota missed a point after a moment ago after he was backed up 5 yards. And the onslaught has reached a 34-7 crescendo here in the first quarter. 2:01 to go in the first frame. A school record for points this quarter.
Drew Lock with yet another touchdown throw to Okuwebanam. And it really is. It's almost too easy. Well, right now you'll see number 81. You see the cushion. It's going to be easy inside entry right here. Off coverage. And, that's pitch and catch. That's borderline throwing against air in the red zone. And you're seeing a Missouri offense who, as we mentioned, they had 6 red zone possessions in the opening game. Only 10 of them in the 5 games since. Now they've been able to get down in the red zone, big plays, moving the football downfield, and then executing inside the 20s. And Okuwebanam having a career day at tight end.
3 touchdown catches for the redshirt freshman tight end. The coaches say runs like a wide receiver. Actually came to campus as a 215-pounder. Now up to 260. Short kick. Hey, Monday at 7 o'clock Eastern, it's the latest Thinking Out Loud with Greg McElroy and Marcus Spears. It's also streaming live on the ESPN app. You can be a part as they encourage participation through social media, live call-ins. Those guys have opinions on everything from football to movies to food, you name it.
Fashion. Both of them very passionate about fashion. One of them is, anyway.
You're right.
You have to tune in to figure out who. We'll just leave that as a mystery.
Nice teaser there. Well done. I'll tell you what, Idaho, since they scored their opening touchdown, they've run 9 plays. They've picked up 2 yards, and they've had to punt it 3 times. That one goes to Saunders. He'll pick up 4.
Saunders, the bigger of the two backs. You saw Duckworth early bounce a nice run on the short field, but you mentioned it, Dave. Ever since then, the Missouri defense able to clamp down on the Vandal offense.
Linehan has time to throw and completes the pass. It's all about the spot. They'll give it to him at the 45, and that'll be good enough for a first down. Nice job by Jacob Shannon. Now with 37 receptions on the year, Caleb Pruitt on that coverage.
They've moved Caleb Pruitt. He's going to spend more time in the secondary, in coverage, a strength of his. Linehan, a guy who's, as we mentioned, climbing those passing record charts with each completion.
A loss of 2 on the play. Saunders wrapped up by A.J. Logan. A young man that couldn't wait to get on the field after missing the first part of this season because of a suspension.
He does a great job defeating the block of true freshman Maxim Moore. We mentioned the shuffling around the Vandal offensive front, and A.J. Logan is fresh legging it. This is his first game of the season, showing some power.
Linehan, a little bit too high, looking for under. Let's go down to Dawn.
Guys, Coach Odom said A.J. Logan has been unbelievable on their scout team defense during this suspension. Even jumped to the other side of the ball, lined up as an offensive lineman to help his team prepare. Eager to get back on the field. He has been amped over here. Even asked Coach if he could play on kickoff coverage. 6'2", 330, Coach said, yeah, you're not going to see him out there for that. But he's a veteran-savvy guy. He's played in 27 career games, so they're glad to have him back.
Number 6, 15-yard penalty. Third down.
Boy, Idaho not doing themselves any favors here. They'll back it up 15. Jordan Rose, who has been a preseason first-team All-Sun Belt Conference selection this year, a 4-year starter, has come off the field after the penalty.
As has Matt Linehan on the sideline. Oh, it's third down and what? 27?
27.
So, get your quarterback off the field. And Mason Petrino will run around out there and take some shots.
Delayed handoff to Saunders and out to the 32-yard line. Picks up 3. Adam Sparks, true freshman, with the tackle.
So it's right here. Can you see it? Jordan Rose, and he's just getting a late shot. Whistle's blown, and you're just trying to bore a guy into the turf right in front of the officials out there by yourself.
Coffey gets the punt away. Floyd back to scoop this one up. 85-yard return, a 33-yard return, and that one will pick up about 5 on the return. Another flag, as that is the final play of the first quarter, perhaps.
We have
34 unanswered points.
Let's make some noise for Austin.
During the kick, personal foul, face mask on the return team, number 22. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. First down, Missouri.
So that'll be the end of the first quarter. Drew Lock having a heck of a first 15 minutes of football. 10 of 13, 216, 4 touchdowns. Missouri has dominated 15 minutes of football here in Columbia, Missouri on homecoming, the 106th edition, 226 total yards. Now, before we get started with the second quarter, because we had that penalty right before we went to commercial there will be one untimed down as part of the first quarter.
By rule, the quarter cannot end. We will have one untimed down before the end of the quarter. Please set the game clock to 0.
Kind of a unique scenario. And, of course, the last thing that the Missouri offense needs is another chance to snap the football in the first quarter.
They've already set a school record for points in a quarter, 34. They're backed up inside the 10-yard line, first down and 10. Here goes Roundtree. 2 broken tackles. He's across midfield and brought down at the 40. What a run by the true freshman out of Raleigh, North Carolina, Larry Roundtree. 53 yards.
33. Roundtree just kind of downshifts right here. Bounces off some tackles in the backfield. And then let me drop a gear. You lose your headgear after I drop a gear. Break a couple of more tackles. And you can tell why Missouri's so excited about Larry Roundtree. He's a ball carrier. He's not a running back. Not yet. Because running backs, they have to fit into the pass protection scheme. They have to become receivers. But when Roundtree gets that ball in his hands, he's explosive. And as that Idaho secondary found out, now they're going to want to say, look, shift that ball to your outside hand, young man. You're carrying it with your inside arm and you're taking shots. But Barry Odom, he's fired up because Roundtree just ran that football like a linebacker would.
Well, that was the final play of the first quarter. We'll step aside. Second quarter football coming up. Back Memorial Stadium, Missouri, in Idaho territory. First play of the second quarter. They'll hand it off for a gain of about 3 yards. Roundtree going to get a lot of work today without Demarie Crockett, who's out with a bad shoulder. He and Ish Witter have done the running game duties today, and Roundtree just with one of those plays that they will show over and over in the film room, I'm assuming. Here's Locke, sidesteps a defender, and high throw incomplete. Emmanuel Hall, the intended receiver.
Now, you said it, though, Dave. That's something that shows up in the running backs meeting room. You better believe that that's one that they're going to want to build off of. This is how you run. This is how you finish runs. And it doesn't have to end here. Just run over a couple of guys. But you can see Missouri, and they've done this a couple of different times. We talked to the coaches, and we mentioned tempo. Not only to Josh Heupel, but head coach and defensive coordinator Barry Odom. Drew Lock has the opportunity to slow down if he wants to.
Inside handoff. There goes Roundtree again inside the 20 down to the 17-yard line.
18-yard.
He'll pick up 19 more yards. Jalen Hoover drags him down.
Pretty good patience, too, running behind the left side. Big Kevin Pendleton, number 71 at left guard. Nice push and a big hole.
Over the middle and a little too much on that one.
Lock's pass intended for number 2.
Jason Reese had snuck behind everybody, but Locke overthrew him by a couple of feet.
And Jason Reese was over there, and he had been saying, look, I play tight end too. Okuwebanam, he's going to get blisters on his hands from all these touchdown catches. Let's save him for the rest of the year and get me some action.
But that'll be second down and 10 from the 18. And another red zone opportunity here for Missouri. Roundtree with a handoff to the 15. And Hall with the stop.
You know, something that Missouri has wanted out of their offense is more consistency. And they feel like that starts with the guys up front. They do a great job of avoiding negative yardage plays. Drew Lock plays a role in that as well. But they've rolled some guys through there. You see Yasir Durant, number 70 at left tackle. You know, he's kind of splitting time with Tyler Howell. They want to be more physical up front and be more consistent from tackle to tackle.
Ish Witter in it, running back. He'll slide out of the backfield, but Locke throws a bullet to the end corner of the end zone, and that's incomplete. Looking for Jamon Moore. And here comes the kicking unit.
4th down and 8.
Kind of a lackluster offensive possession based on the bar that Missouri has set in this game so far. One time down, Larry Roundtree with the big run, and now a field goal attempt here in the red zone.
Nick Bartolotta will attempt the field goal from 33 yards away. Kick is on the way, and it will sneak through the upright. Put 3 more on the board now for the Tigers. 37 straight points by Mizzou. They lead it by 30. 13:21 to go, second quarter. Hey, well, Drew Lock led Georgia against Georgia, had 4 touchdown passes against the Bulldogs. Today, he has answered the call again with 4 more, and we haven't even got to halftime yet.
Yeah, we've got 3 quarters to play this game, and Drew Lock came out firing. Obviously, that first interception, he got that out of his system, and it's been nothing but big plays downfield and touchdown throws since. And you can see that this offense, if it can get rolling, and certainly versus teams where they have an athletic advantage, it can pile up points. The box score gets incredibly lopsided quickly.
Bartolotta will kick it off. Still waiting word on what happened to Tucker McCann, their normal kicker. But with that, time to get an update. Let's go to the studio. Hey, Peter. Excellent segue there, Peter.
Yeah, nifty. Very deft.
Maybe Peter can come. Looks like the way things are going, he might be able to catch a touchdown pass. Put him in the slot.
Great hands. A tremendous athlete.
Idaho scored on their opening possession, but not much since then, as Matt Linehan back in the game. And he will be swallowed up, but falls forward. Will get about 1.5 yards on that one. Let's go down to Dawn.
Well, Dave, Tucker McCann not even here at the stadium today. I'm told he's been suspended for a violation of team rules. No other specifics on that suspension.
Well, at least we got that much. Thanks, Dawn.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a little too excited about homecoming. Either way, Bartolotta
getting a workout.
Man, I hope he stretched his hamstring. Guys can pop in a few, not only a field goal, but point after attempts as well.
So on second down, handoff off the right side, just no room. This offensive line having a tough time with the front 4 of Missouri. Jordan Arnold leading the charge. This is a really, really good front 4 by anybody's standards.
Yeah, they're kind of rounding into form. You know, they've had some guys that have needed to emerge. Rashad Brandon, number 13. Jordan Harrell, the captain, a former walk-on. Number 55, we've mentioned his name before, Marcel Frazier. But it's the A.J. Logan, it's the Terry Beckner Jr.'s, the guys that kind of set the tenor for the entire defense along that defensive front.
4-man look again by Missouri. Trying to get to Linehan, but he's able to get the pass off, and it's caught over the 35-yard line. That'll be good enough for a first down. Alfonso Onenwar with the reception. Logan Cheadle on coverage for Missouri.
Good job that time by Linehan. Never panicked. He's taking some shots in this game. Worked the pocket. He just kind of presses up, didn't scramble. Kept his eyes downfield and able to get the completion and move the sticks. Idaho's obviously had difficulty since their opening possession moving the ball.
Aaron Duckworth, the senior out of Orange Park, Florida, on that carry. He'll pick up 4. Jordan Harrell there for his 3rd tackle.
That's a big first down play. When we talk about Idaho needing to stay on schedule, win on those early downs, we've already seen the Vandal offense substitute Linehan out because obviously Paul Petrino concerned versus a defensive front that can overwhelm your protection. You don't want your signal caller rather taking shots unnecessarily.
Linehan steps up, going down the middle. Is that caught? Jacob Sandin holds on. What a catch by Sandin, just inside the 20-yard line, and now the back judge comes in and says incomplete. Everybody has run down to the 19-yard line, but now they got to back it up.
Yeah, It definitely was not a complete pass, and it would have been a tremendous adjustment on the ball by Santa. We saw a similar catch earlier by Missouri receiver Jonathan Johnson on the opposite side of the field, but you can see the ball making contact with the turf and bouncing back up. Santa trying to adjust that football as it dropped down, and Caleb Pruitt again in coverage. Linehan just a little bit too much on that one, hung up and was outside the opposite shoulder of Santa.
Go with 3rd down and 6. Linehan over the middle, pass is caught. That'll be good enough for a first down at the 47-yard line. That one goes to Alfonso Onenwar.
Well, it hadn't been very pretty for Linehan so far in this game. We saw earlier he gets a nice completion over the middle before the shot downfield. And he took another big hit from Terry Beckner Jr. He's gotten bounced around. The coaches are aware of that. He stood in, delivered a strike to Onenwar.
Nowhere to run for Saunders. He's wrapped up.
Missouri's been pretty active up front. That time they ran a stunt with the end and tackle. Did a good job folding back inside. Makes it difficult because it complicates the blocking scheme up front when you're able to move around and exchange spots along your defensive line. Barry Odom showing some of that creativity to try to generate negative yardage plays.
2nd down. Batted in the air and it falls to the turf.
Well, every snap, you're looking at Linehan, he's got bodies falling around his legs, hands popping up in his face. The pocket, if they're not piercing it and getting loose, they're collapsing it slowly. That time Marcel Frazier working against Josh Herman, and backs don't know this, offensive linemen should. As soon as that defender jumps in the air, you got to make them pay for it. They get those hands up, you got to take a shot. Otherwise, you're going to get a bunch of tip balls.
So now it's 3rd and long again for Idaho. They've been in this spot much of the afternoon. Linehan's throw is caught, broken tackle. This is good enough for a first down to Onenwar, who has stepped up on this drive, picks up 18 more yards.
Great run after the catch by Onenwar. You see him just kind of settling down right there in the zone. Missed tackle. Almost 3 more missed tackles. Caleb Pruitt came in. I don't know if his eyes were closed. Didn't even make contact with Onenwar. He's able to pick up another 3 or 4 yards.
First down and 10 from the 30. They'll go to Onenwar again. Wrapped up this time after a 4-yard pickup.
Working over there against the true freshman and Adam Sparks. Sparks won that starting position over Logan Cheadle last week. Got his first start versus Georgia. Barry Odom said he likes what he's seen from Sparks, but he's also a little bit concerned when you've got a true freshman winning a job in the middle of a season.
For some nice running from Aaron Duckworth. And he'll get it inside the 20. Good enough for a first down after a 7-yard gain.
A couple times in this game where Duckworth has done a good job bouncing the runs. You see these runs that are intended to be more inside. Pulling the backside tackle. Zion Dixon pulling around from his center position. And Duckworth showed some patience. Might make the linebackers commit to the line of scrimmage and then bounce outside with your speed.
Averaging 92 yards a game on the ground. That is tops in the Sun Belt Conference. And in fact, he and Saunders are the top 1-2 combo of rushers in the Sun Belt. They'll go right side and he'll step out of bounds around the 17-yard line.
Duckworth's not just a speedy guy. He does a pretty good job of breaking tackles. He uses that stiff arm nicely. We've seen him on back-to-back carries. He keeps the tacklers off of his and away from his body and legs. And that's good for another 3 or 4 yards at the end of these runs.
Isaiah Saunders now will come in at running back. So from the 16-yard line, it is second down. Let's call it 7. Linehan over the middle. They'll spot the forward progress right around the 12-yard line as that one goes to Ruben Muela.
Credit Idaho on this drive. They were faced with some 3rd and long scenarios and were able to find a way to convert. A lot of it due to the fortitude of their quarterback, throwing the football under duress, pocket collapsing around him to get the Vandal offense here into the red zone. Only the second time of this contest where they've gotten it into this scoring position.
They'll swing it out to the wide side. Catch made by Sannon. Spins out of trouble and gets it inside the 5. It'll be first and goal after an 8-yard pickup. Caleb Pruitt on the tackle.
And that's a mismatch to be able to get the ball to Sannon in space. Guy who's got excellent open field quickness, and he's matched up versus what is effectively a hybrid linebacker in Brandon Lee. The reason Lee's in this lineup and why they moved Pruitt back is because Lee's better at run fits, better in run defense, not as much in coverage situations, and that time Sannon showing why it's dangerous.
Well, timeout on the field as Idaho's knocking on the door. Nice drive by the Vandals. Back in a moment. Well, it's a great season for Idaho football last year, going to the famous Idaho Potato Bowl against Colorado State. They gave up the first score, and then they proceeded to reel off 41 straight points to put away Colorado State. Matt Linehan led the way for the Vandals, 381 yards through the air and 4 touchdown passes. Isaiah Saunders had 147 yards on the ground. They finished the year 9-4. It was their best record since 1998. And in their final year in the FBS, they were hoping to get to a final bowl game, back-to-back bowl games, but they're going to have to play their proverbial hearts out here down the stretch if they want to return to a bowl game before they move to the FCS level where playoff football takes over.
Well, they've certainly dug a hole for themselves here in this game, but staging a nice drive here, 14 plays, 71 yards to knock on the door.
Linehan, flag is down. Coming near side, throws it away as he is tripped up. With a flag down on the far side of the field. Looks like this might be against Missouri.
Offside on the defense, number 55. Half the distance to the goal. Still first down.
Second offsides penalty we've seen, both defensive fronts. Missouri drew the Vandals off earlier, but that time Jordan Harold, I think, was lined up in the neutral zone. Regardless, a couple of free yards on what was otherwise a well-defended play and a throwaway by Linehan on the rollout. A great job on this drive by the Vandals converting third downs. They converted a 3rd and 3, a 3rd and 12, a 3rd and 6, a 3rd and 9. Those are not optimal down and distances to find yourself in.
Well, how do you have a delay of game?
Delay of game on the offense, number 10. 5-yard penalty, first down.
You see Paul Petrino saying, look, call timeout. Look up and have some play clock awareness. That's twice. Really surprising that would happen. You got a senior quarterback, excellent awareness, but evidence to the contrary. 2 delays of game in this game here in the first half.
Linehan 6 of 8, 58 yards on this drive. So now it'll be first and goal from the 7. They'll hand it off left side to Isaiah Saunders, and I think he lost a yard. Jordan Harold again in on the tackle. 5 stops today for the senior defensive end out of St. Louis. A couple of those behind the line of scrimmage. Matter of fact, there are now 6 tackles behind the line by this Missouri Tiger defense.
Coming into the game, that was one of the hallmarks of what the Missouri defense was all about. The defensive front who was able to generate negative yardage plays, able to spend time in their opponent's offensive backfield. And Jordan Harold so far, especially early in this one, putting together probably one of his best games.
They'll run it again with Saunders. Brandon Lee makes the play. No gain on that rush by Idaho.
Well, Saunders is the thumper, but he doesn't have that speed. That time, Idaho trying to get some pullers out in front. They pulled from the right side of their offensive front. And Brandon Lee did a great job from his linebacker position, diagnosing and getting downhill behind the pullers and tackling Saunders from behind.
3rd down and goal from the 8. Linehan going to throw it. Pass is caught. David Unger, the junior, with his 2nd touchdown reception of 2017 from 8 yards away.
That's an impressive drive by the Idaho Vandal offense. You see Linehan again, relatively good protection from what we've seen all day. Able to kind of slide in the pocket and find Ungerer as he was able to get loose of coverage. And you can see Linehan and Petrino, and he's talking about again, he's going back to that delay of game penalty, saying, look, man, the play clock is right there. You got to be aware and call timeout.
Point after by Coffee, up and good. 17 plays, 75 yards, 8:43 off the clock. Culminates with an 8-yard touchdown catch from David Unger from his senior quarterback, Matt Linehan. Well, Missouri has been quick to score. Meanwhile, Idaho methodical down the field. 17 plays, 75 yards, 8 minutes and 43 seconds off the clock. Matter of fact, that touchdown drive took more time than Missouri's last 5 scoring drives have taken combined. Cade Coffee will kick it away. Roundtree back in a short kick that will be taken at around the 18-yard line. Give us an opportunity to tell you that Wednesday, 7 o'clock Eastern, right here on the SEC Network. It's SEC Inside to grant you an all-access pass to Mississippi State football as they take on Kentucky this weekend. It's also streaming live on the ESPN app. Speaking of that, should be a very interesting game. Kentucky seeking their first 6-1 start in a decade. Last week we saw Nick Fitzgerald just put on a show against BYU.
Yeah, now that is an intriguing matchup. Kentucky, Mississippi State. Because you're looking at Kentucky and they've got a chance, if they continue to find ways to win games, they might end up in an East Division championship game versus Georgia.
They'll go handoff to Ish Witter.
Number 21
picks up 4.
You can see offensively, Missouri a little bit more deliberate. You see a couple of runs, early downs, looking over to the sidelines. Of course, we've seen them. They pick up yards, especially positive yards on first down. They'll jump the ball and try to run quicker.
Over the middle. Pass is caught. Kendall Blanton, the tight end. He's at 25. He's down to the 10. Down to the 5-yard line and spun to the turf there by Ellis. It'll be 1st and goal, Missouri, 62-yard pickup.
Well, we talked about the tight end position and how the coaches were somewhat disappointed. Well, Okuwebanam kind of set the tone, and now it's been Reese and Blanton trying to get in on the action.
Hand off left side. That'll go to Ish Witter from 3 yards out.
And by deliberate pace, I meant it would go slow for one play, rip off a big play, and then jump the ball and get in the end zone again. They would slow it down-ish, just a tad.
As an Ish Witter.
Yeah. He picked up on that play on words.
Bartolota, again, busy day, filling in for Tucker McCann. It's the first Missouri rush touchdown against an FBS team since 2017, and it sets the score up at 44-14. Big plays abound by Missouri.
back team for Idaho, number 23, Aaron Duckworth.
Okay.
Heck of a suggestion there, Peter.
It's homecoming. Gin Blossom's playing a little concert today.
Yeah, man. Throwback. 90s.
106th edition. As this return by Duckworth will be stopped at the 32-yard line. A 20-yard return. Bartolota on that special teams tackle. The kicker getting in there. 3:38 to go. Young man, you know,
he's got some size to him too, huh?
We were given no information about Tucker McCann, none. So if this, I don't know if Bartolota knew he was going to be kicking today or not. But if he came to the field today thinking, I'm just going to hang out and watch Tucker McCann do his thing, it was a rude awakening.
Hey, man, he's doing work.
No,
Joker's got some guns on him, too. Looks like he's been doing curls while Tucker McCann's been kicking the first 6 games.
He'll come near side. Mason Petrino.
Look at that guy. He's yoked. He's over there with Fatoni. Fatoni's like, hey, man, give me your upper body workout. Are you doing like a pyramid or like 10-8-6-2 or what are you doing?
A little hot yoga maybe in there?
Yeah. Again, yeah. Fatoni's.
That's a pretty stout special teams kicking group over there.
Don't anger the specialists, man.
37 yards, 37-yard line on second down. And that pass is dropped.
Big A.J. Logan lumbering off the field for a third down, but it was interesting talking to Barry Odom about him, what Logan was willing to do. You know, it's filled in. They were a little short on offensive linemen, was willing to give a look there, wanted to do whatever it took to contribute to his football team. But he's a run stuffer, so they're going to take him off the field. Not going to contribute so much in the pass rush.
5-man rush by the Tigers. Pocket collapses. Linehan throws as he hits the turf, and it's caught by Alfonso Onenlor, but a flag down right at the 40-yard line where he made the catch. Adam Sparks on that coverage. It'll be a gain of 23 if it holds.
Pass interference on the defense, number 14. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is a first down.
Boy, Linehan hadn't had time to set his feet maybe but once today. Trey Williams putting the pressure on him that time. It has been a tough day for Linehan to get some time. Has a little bit here, sets his feet on this throw, and will throw it out of bounds. Maybe he needs to stay on the move.
Got some good arm strength, though, on that one. You see Linehan, as you mentioned, you know, the coaches kind of lamented that. So, look, you know, his production is down from a year ago. We were asking about what's the cause. I said, look, basically, it said we just have not been able to hold up in protection to allow Matt to do what he's capable of doing.
Second down and 10. 372 total yards for Missouri, 152 for Idaho. Linehan. Boy, nowhere to go. Terry Beckner there.
Linehan
loss of 2.
Number 5, Terry Beckner Jr.
Hey, you know, we said on the top of this game, maybe Missouri's going to bring pressure. They're not. They're not going to bring pressure because they can win with 4. They've won with 3 at times in this game. They're able to collapse the pocket, squeeze Linehan a couple of times. The quarterback for Idaho has done a good job of pressing up in the pocket and has been able to deliver passes downfield. But more often than not, he has been running for his life.
Third down and 12. Just under 2 minutes to go. First half football. Some stunts up front, but Linehan has time to throw it, and that one is a wobbly pass into a pretty stiff wind, by the way. We haven't really mentioned that, but this Idaho offense going into a pretty brisk breeze, which certainly has affected some of the zip on these deep throws by Linehan.
You know, that and the fact he's got 320-pounders landing on his ankles and feet. But the wind, too.
Thanks for the full support.
Oh, you're right. It probably contributed.
See, look at the flag. See?
They're whipping.
Cade Coffey will punt this into that wind that's so brisk. Pretty good punt. That ball will hit at the 7. They're going to say it hit out of bounds at the 7. So nice job by Cade Coffey. 35-yard kick. Coming up at halftime, you can watch the live performance of the Marching Mizzou Band right here on the SEC Network Plus. You can start streaming that now on the ESPN app. They're going to have to battle the wind conditions too down there.
No question. I mean, some of those, not a lot of wind instruments, but if there were, you could lose control of your instrument. The wind might take over completely.
On homecoming, 106th edition here at Missouri, and a lot of folks had a big Missouri Hall of Fame dinner last night at our hotel. Saw a lot of folks looking a lot better than we were in terms of their attire.
That was a more formal event. There's nothing formal about our pre-production meeting.
Big hit on Jamon Moore right as he caught it. Cedric Thomas steps up to lay the wood on Jamon Moore.
I wonder if they're going to let the alumni band perform at halftime as well.
They should.
Did it in the pregame.
Here's Locke. He will throw, and pass is caught around the 20-yard line. They're going to say it was juggled, or at least the Idaho coaches say it was, but our officiating crew says it was a reception, pickup of 10. Ed Hall pushes him out of bounds.
You can see he juggled it a little bit. It's always so helpful for those officials taking that input from the sideline.
Deep down the middle, Jamon Moore with the catch. Jamon Moore will get it into Idaho territory at the 45-yard line. Clock sits at an even 60 seconds after a 35-yard pickup.
Larry Roundtree in there for a pass protection snap. Jamon Moore adjusting to the ball in the air.
Locked over the middle. That one should have been picked off. Jalen Hoover had a good read on it and went right through his hands.
Some of those throws to the middle. We see that especially deep down the middle where Locke has had some difficulty sometimes, especially with turnovers. And he gets popped there at the end by Caden Ellis, playmaker for the Vandal defense, son of Luther Ellis. He was out there during the pregame. Looks like he could still play. In fact, I wouldn't even walk out on the field while he was out there. I got nervous.
10 years in the NFL, a couple of Pro Bowls for Luther. Nice grab by Jamon, breaks a tackle. He'll have a first down inside the 25 to the 23. That's 23 more yards. And the numbers for Drew Lock are staggering here in the first half. Already with 4 touchdown passes, but he is now up to 352 yards through the air.
Pretty sporty. I don't know that he needs that little sleeve on his arm to keep his arm warmed up, as active as it's been this half. And a quick little play fake and pressure right up the middle. So from a protection standpoint, coaching points there for Glenn Ellerby. Let's bring a Mike linebacker blitz right in the middle of the line of scrimmage. But Jamon Moore, and we've seen this a couple of times in this game, more than just a speedster, a guy who's pretty physical after the catch. He's throwing haymakers on would-be tacklers.
How about Jamon Moore? 8 catches, 135 yards today. You know, he wanted to get back into the good graces, not only of his coach, but his teammates after a disappointing outing in Athens last Saturday.
Yeah, and you know, we've seen other guys emerge out there. Obviously, Emmanuel Hall, who's proven to be a downfield threat, has been so in this game. But Jamon Moore is really kind of the center of gravity for the receiving corps at Missouri. They need him to put up big numbers every week.
36 seconds to go. Quick hitter to Moore, and he is tripped up on the spot. Gain of only 2. That one goes Tony Lashley credit for that tackle. Idaho scores. They get an interception on the first play of the game, take it in 33 yards later for a touchdown. And then Missouri just stepped on the gas, 37 straight points.
And you think, such a quick back-to-back, right? You get a punt return for a touchdown, offense scores, they kick it away to you, and you fumble on the kick return, muff the reception there by Duckworth. And Missouri's right back into the end zone. It was just an avalanche of points. You can see that how quickly it mounted. We're sitting up here going, wow, I tell you what, Idaho got the start that they needed. A quick turnover, a short field, a touchdown, and that was really the last time you could say much. The Vandals did put together a pretty nice drive, ultimately culminating in a touchdown, but otherwise, it's been all Missouri.
Second down and 8. Pressure comes, Locke over the middle, and that one is caught in the end zone for another touchdown. Emmanuel Hall from 20 yards away. What a job by Drew Locke to hang in there just long enough to let Hall turn the corner.
Well, Mike Bresky wasn't going to let Drew Locke just get comfortable in the pocket. They did a relatively good job on this drive, getting some shots on the Missouri quarterback. That time brought 2 blitzers to the strong side of that formation, right in Locke's face. And he put on plenty enough velocity and laid it out there nicely for Emmanuel Hall in the end zone.
51 first half points. 51 first half points.
Once again, you see the pressure right up the middle. Locke gets enough on that ball to reach Hall in the end zone. Akeem Coleman, that body's falling all around your legs. As a passer, you have to be able to deliver in those situations, and Locke proves to be able to do so again. He's done that a couple times in this game. There's been some pressures.
Well, they scored the most points they'd scored in a quarter back in our first quarter of this game, and now you can add another record, 51 points in the half, a school record versus an FBS opponent. Previous was 45 against San Diego State way back in 1979.
How much do you think the Bartolota weighs? I mean, just curious.
Well,
I'm going to go. I'm looking. He's not a tall guy.
all right, you guess. I've got it right here in front of me.
I'm going to say he's 215.
How tall do you think he is?
He's 5'7".
5'6", 185.
No way. Not dressed out. Dressed out, he's north of 200 pounds.
We're breaking down the kicker. I love that right now.
He made a great tackle on that last kickoff. Not this one.
Hey, college football continues. Continues right here on the SEC Network from Starkville, Mississippi State, Kentucky, 4 o'clock Eastern. Interesting game. Kentucky, boy, they win this, Stinch. They've got an opportunity to meet Georgia with a lot on the line in a few weeks. We'll cap off the day, number 21, Auburn and Arkansas, SEC Saturday night. Both those games streaming live on the ESPN app.
I mean, Kentucky, they gave away a game to Florida. Otherwise, they're undefeated. They just found ways to win so far this year. They played good complementary football. Eddie Grand kind of transitioning the offense to allow the defense to play better ball. They're not as up-tempo. They're more run-oriented. And the Wildcats, narrowly away from being an undefeated football team. But you're right. You look at the games coming up, where they're going to be playing them. You get Ole Miss at home. You got Tennessee after this week. It'll be interesting to see if Mississippi State can keep it rolling after a pretty good-looking offensive performance versus BYU.
Linehan will be hit right at midfield and dropped right there, and that should be the last play of the game. Hall with the tackle, the junior out of Lithonia, Georgia. But this was all about Missouri. 51 points. Idaho will take a timeout.
They're looking to capture some momentum heading into halftime.
Well, you were talking about the cats and the dogs going at it, and I think last week was Mississippi State had a week off after playing a two-game stretch against Auburn and Georgia where it didn't go well. Then they had a week off, got back together, and I really think they got their feet back under them. Todd Grantham has done a remarkable job with that defense.
No question. And to me, I don't know that there's been a bigger turnaround when you look at just unit improvement than the Mississippi State defense. Now, you've got a couple outliers there in Georgia and Auburn at the time anyway. But that unit's a top 8 defense as far as yards allowed. Right now, the best defensive performance statistically that Dan Mullen has ever had in his 9 years there. It's going to be a tall task for the Kentucky Wildcat offense.
Linehan. Pass is complete. They juggled it out of bounds, however. Incomplete now. 4 seconds on the clock.
You know, Steven Johnson for Kentucky's kind of a dual threat guy as well. You know, not as
I don't think he runs with the same authority that a Nick Fitzgerald would run. But Steven Johnson, though, has really made some improvements. When we first saw him last year to where he is today, remarkable job making him the kind of player he is in just a year and change.
The ruling on the previous play is an incomplete pass. That play is under review.
It's appropriate. Stretch this out. Wait, let's just stretch this out as long as we can.
Well, as you mentioned, you know, with Steven Johnson, you know, you talk about the dual threat quarterbacks. A lot of people thought it was going to be the year of the quarterback in the SEC, and you know, I don't know if that's necessarily been the case. Now, you got another guy in the state of Mississippi, in Shea Patterson, and he's had to be everything for the Rebels and their offense. But right now, you know, the way that Nick Fitzgerald has been able to evolve, you know, you almost wonder, is he where he is relative to where like Dak Prescott was. Right. Obviously, two different players. Fitzgerald probably the faster than Prescott was. And you flip the page over there and you look at Kentucky at the quarterback position, and obviously not nearly as foreboding or formidable as Nick Fitzgerald is. You know, Johnson's not as big of a kid. He's a pretty good runner, especially in the scramble game.
Well, we'll wait to see what our replay crew, not just here, but at the video center in Birmingham, have to say about this. A lot of eyeballs checking this play out with 4 seconds to go.
See Barry Odom over there. He's got a smile on his face. Probably haven't been able to do a lot of that this year. And I was actually visiting with him during the pregame. He's got some buddies in town from his high school years back in Oklahoma. We thoroughly analyzed that potential completion.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Incomplete pass.
That's good.
Yep.
But in the pregame, you know, he got a little Van Halen in.
So we'll see if this is the last play of the game, unless you're in, of the half, I should say. You're in Tennessee and Knoxville. You can run a play in 3 seconds, right?
That's right. We saw that a week ago.
Blues football, but that will do it. 51 on the board. 51 points by Missouri. A 51-14 game here on homecoming. And with that, we will get into the studio, let the guys break this one down. Peter, Chris, Chiz, all yours. It's SEC Network Football presented by Allstate. Homecoming here in Columbia, Missouri. Dave Neal, Matt Stinchcomb, Dawn Davenport down the sidelines. And, well, Missouri needed a quick start. Turned it over on their first possession, but after that, boy, they put their foot on the gas.
It seems like they figured it out after that initial interception, and you're looking at maybe another record-setting performance for the Missouri offense. And, you got Drew Lock, a guy that I think the biggest concern you might have in the second half is arm fatigue, because he was able to throw for 371 yards through the air. Got the tight end position involved just a little bit with Albert Okuwebanam getting a couple of touchdown catches, and of course 51 points in 8 minutes and 32 seconds time of possession. And according to our producer, that's pretty good sporting. That's a fast clip, right, Dave?
That was our all hands in plays, brought to you by Allstate. But yes, quick clip to say the least, and that's what this offense is about, what it's based on. And Idaho's second scoring drive, 17 plays, 8 minutes and 43 seconds off the clock. So quite the drastic difference between those two offensive philosophies. 51-14 our score at the break, and quite the aerial show from this Missouri offense. Again, Drew Lock is just adding to his touchdown totals. Already has, in their opener this year, had 7 touchdown passes, and has 5 of them here this afternoon, and we still got plenty of football left, as that wind I talked about as being so brisk has affected our start to the second half. Duckworth will scoop it at the 6, and he's hit at the 16. Let's go down to Dawn.
We get to show what kind of character we have. That was head coach Paul Petrino's message to his guys at the half. He picked out that touchdown drive before the half, the 17-play drive, pointed that out to them and said, this is what we can do if we protect Matt. That's going to be their focus this half.
Yeah, for Matt Linehan, he just, it seemed like every time he had the football, he was getting hit by somebody, whether he threw it or held on to it.
Yeah, rarely did he have an opportunity really to operate the offense, which is unfortunate. That's kind of been the case the entire season for the Vandal offensive unit.
Shoulder fake come near side. Alfonso Onenwar. Adam Sparks with his 5th stop of the day. There's the first half statistical picture. 465 yards of offense for Missouri.
And then, of course, reflecting back to that time of possession, Missouri didn't have the football. They didn't need it. They couldn't get it out of their hands quickly enough. They possessed it for a little while, and they scored shortly thereafter. Even there towards the latter part of the second quarter, we thought maybe they'd be a little bit more deliberate, and a big play set up a scoring opportunity again.
On second down, they hand it off to Saunders. Terry Beckner.
Terry Beckner Jr. is a special player. He's a guy that's been plagued by injury during his time here at Missouri. He's got 5 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a sack in this game. He's injured both knees, and he's been able to rehabilitate both. And he is an anchor for that defense. Big number 5, usually right in the middle of their defensive front. On this down, they're going to flex him out and let him rush against an offensive tackle.
Former freshman All-American.
Point, it looks like target practice, for the Missouri defense. And you have to wonder, Paul Petrino mentioned it, what kind of character they're going to be capable of showing, but also, we've got to be able to protect Matt Linehan. At some point, if you don't prove capable of doing that with him on the field, the best way to protect him is to keep him off of it. Just let him be on the sideline.
Coffee. That one almost got blocked. Nice roll. That will settle inside the 35-yard line. 52 yards on that punt. Missouri's offense, first time on the field here in the second half when we return. 51-14 our score here in Columbia, Missouri. Now, it wasn't too long ago, although Missouri fans might think it feels like a long time ago, but Missouri put together two phenomenal back-to-back seasons. In 2013 under Gary Pinkel, they win the SEC East, go to the title game. They lose to Auburn, who went on to play the national championship game. And then in 2014, they won another SEC East title. They went 7-1 in the SEC Citrus Bowl champs. They lose to Alabama in that championship game. Of course, joined the league in 2012. Didn't have a great opening campaign in the Southeastern Conference, but pushed that aside in 13 and 14. Here's Jamon Moore. Boy, he has all day. They just do not want to let him get past.
Your cushion is, a first down and a half. You have a 15-yard cushion. I guess they can't get behind you as long as you tackle them that way.
Well, you see what happened in 15, 1-7 in the league. Last year, they go 2-6 in conference play, looking for their first conference win still here in 2017. There is Emmanuel Hall, slips through a couple of defenders, and another big chunk of yardage. He'll say he stepped out of bounds back at the 35-yard line.
Yeah, Missouri came into the league, and the question was, can they compete? Can they compete along the lines of scrimmage? The facilities were different here from most of their peers throughout the Southeastern Conference. In a lot of ways, that may still very well be true. There's a big project to be done here in the end zone where the teams run out. Multi-million-dollar project to address some of those differences that they have.
Maybe $98 million they're going to spend on the south end zone renovation. That should get them at least close to.
That's couch cushion money, man.
Right. Oh, nice move. Jamon Moore. He gets it down to the 15-yard line. A gain of 19.
Once again, who's covering Jamon Moore? He hasn't entered the picture. There he is. We can't even get him in the frame. I mean, these cushions, it's pretty easy.
To the end zone, that one's dropped.
Box pass intended for number 6,
Jamon Moore had his hands on it briefly. Cedric Thomas knocked it out of there at the last moments.
Great job by Thomas fighting through the catch. He was able to get his left hand in there and pop that ball free. It's a difficult proposition, and Idaho knew coming into it. Mike Bresky, who coordinates their defense, said, look, they've got speed. It's going to be very difficult for us to hold up. And that's proven to be the case throughout this football game.
How about Jamon Moore? Already 11 catches today, 174. They'll stay on the ground here. Handoff goes to Ish Witter, and he'll take it inside the 5 all the way down to the 3-yard line. 12-yard pickup. Tony Lashley brings him to the turf.
Lott does a pretty good job. Brett Favre used to do a lot of that. Have a handoff, and then he'll kind of fake a quick screen. They do enough of those bubbles to where it actually has some teeth to it.
Nice play. Caden Ellis wrapping up Ish Witter on a 1st and goal. It'll be 2nd and goal now.
Caden Ellis is a heck of a ball player. He's a guy that we've already touched on it. He could do both. He could play both ways. Maybe they might want to look into that as the season continues on. 5 tackles already today. Mentioned he was a quarterback in high school, defensive end.
And give him 6. Ish Witter. His 2nd today.
Nice job running inside. The offensive front, who hasn't been asked to do a ton of run blocking really throughout the season. Part of it's because Josh Heupel likes to get to the run plays in the middle of drives. At least the tempo helps his offensive front to execute in the ground game, and that time just enough to get in the end zone again.
Nick Bartolotta with the point after. 58-14. Hey, it's midway season of the season, so I decided to get Stinch's thoughts on some of his award winners. We'll take a look when we come back. (58-14) our score. Our 3rd quarter football here in Columbia, Missouri. It's midway point of the season, and I asked Stinch this week, give me his thoughts on some of the players of the year. How about the midway offensive player of the year? A couple of candidates: Shea Patterson at Ole Miss, John Kelly, certainly doing a wonderful job over at Tennessee. But who did you settle on?
I don't want to jump the gun here because both of those guys are more than worthy candidates. and they mean so much to their offenses. They kind of have to do it on their own.
John Kelly has been, just because the way Tennessee is just kind of blown up this year in the wrong way, he's been overshadowed by a lot of folks. This return by Unger. And your winner is midway point of the season?
Shea Patterson. Well, he's got a running back number, but he's been a heck of a passer this year. Phil Longo's offense, they don't run the football hardly ever at Ole Miss. They've got really talented wide receivers, and this is a chance for an SEC passer to lead the nation in passing. The first time since 1952. Can you guess who it was, Dave?
Whew. Babe Pirelli.
That's great. That's a great guess. That's a fantastic 50s name, by the way. Babe Pirelli. Zeke Brekowski.
Wow.
At the University of Georgia.
I didn't know they slung it around at Georgia like
Wally
that.
Bucks. That's how Wally Bucks did it.
Our SEC standings. Only 2 undefeateds. Well, they are on a collision course for Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, GA in early December. A couple of 7-0 clubs.
And if it ends up working out that way, right? Because you're looking at, an Auburn team that's dropped 2 games, only 1 in conference, though. A week ago versus LSU, a surprising defeat at the hand of the Bayou Bengals. And a team that, if they play kind of unhindered on the offensive side of the ball, and they stay opened up there in the second half, who knows? That's a dangerous offense. But we've only seen kind of flashes of it out of Auburn. That West Division race, it's Alabama and everybody else.
Right.
But even Texas A&M, whom we've seen this year, is very kind of in a sneaky way is rounding into form with a lot of young players on the field.
By the way, that's A.J. Logan. There were 4 Tiger defenders that all came diving in to make that play, and I think that he was involved in a little bit of a helmet-to-helmet. He got up a little wobbly. Told you about Logan and suspended the first half of the season. This is his first game back. The guy has just been chomping to get back on the field. Let's hope he is okay as he walks back to the sidelines. And when we asked Barry Odom about the importance to him, and he says, it changes things up front for us dramatically, having him back on the field. But he will be on the sidelines watching this play. On the 3rd down and 5. Linehan hit again as he throws. Duckworth will pick up 4. But he is shy of the first down by a couple of yards. And here come the Idaho Vandals punt team in. Late 53, they'll kick it away into the wind to Missouri.
And Linehan kind of not limping just yet, but looks a little battle weary after taking another shot, as you mentioned, Dave. Brought some second level pressure that time. Number 10, he's had a long day.
I'm with you. You still have an opportunity to try to win some ball games down the stretch in the Sun Belt. Nice end over end kick. At what point do you start thinking about the future with Linehan?
Yeah, I think you better start thinking about it sooner rather than later.
57-yard punt, 58 points for Missouri, 14 for Idaho.
Let's go, Mizzou.
Today's honorary coaches.
Jamon Moore, 1 catch last week against Georgia. Had a versatile foul called against him, really kind of shut him down in Sanford Stadium. There is no such thing as shutting him down today. 11 catches, 174 yards, and a touchdown. He's averaging almost 16 yards a catch.
I think he was seeing Emmanuel Hall getting a lot of attention, a couple of 63-yard touchdowns last week, and was like, hey, Drew, tell you what, man, I'll take you out for ice cream after the game. Why don't you look my way a couple of times in this one?
They'll hand it off. Larry Roundtree. He'll pick up 4. It's amazing what somebody else stepping up. I guess the word is, you see it all the time, competition does for guys.
Sure. Well, and it brings some balance, of course, to either side of the formation, because typically you find Emmanuel Hall, who'll be on the right side of the formation, and Jamon Moore on the left. And that's usually how they kind of rotate, how they line up because of their tempo.
A little one-hopper out to Dominic Collins. One thing we haven't really seen with Missouri this year are the jet sweeps / speed sweeps with some of their receivers coming across the formation. You think they've got some good speed, some opportunities there, but Barry Odom felt like they didn't block well enough at times on the perimeter to really run that effectively. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a little bit more of that down the second half of the season from this offense.
Sure, yeah, showing some of these other defenses down the line, something to look at from a film breakdown standpoint.
Locke is bottled up and thrown to the turf by Caden Ellis. Loss of 7.
Pretty good shot, too, from Caden Ellis. We've mentioned his name a couple of times in this contest. Watch number 3. He's just working, coming inside. He started outside. He looped inside. Kind of a late stunt. I think more than anything else, he was just adjusting to the rush. And here's another jacked kicker for Tony.
Gets that kick away. It's their first punt of the day. And Fatoni has had a fabulous year. He's 7th in the country, averaging 46.3 yards per kick. That one at 47. Let's go down to Dawn.
Well, you guys have been gushing over Nick Bartolotta and his strength, his upper body strength. So I had to find out. I asked him how much he benches. He's 5'6", 185, benches 385, guys. More than twice his body weight. Not too shabby. You boys can do that, right?
I mean, jointly?
I'm
sure.
speechless. I don't even know how to respond to that question.
That dude ain't 185 pounds, by the way.
I mean, both these guys.
Well, you know, kickers, I'll be real. You know, while guys are practicing other elements, they kick for a little while, they stretch, and then what are you going to do? So these guys, they don't go and play Tetris or something. They go and lift weights.
There's Caden Ellis on that reception. Flag comes in. Caden Ellis, a former high school QB. Never really played defense until coming to Idaho, but found a spot at the linebacker spot. And now he is working both sides of the football.
Personal foul, face mask on the defense, number 4. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
Hey guys, back on the kickers real quick. I've watched them a little bit down here on the sideline. They have a ball during the game. You want to talk about energy? This little area by the practice kicking net, it is full of energy between Fatoni and Bartolotta.
Well, Fatoni's just had a marvelous year to begin with. I mean, he's hit some of the best punts you'll see inside the 5-yard line. And Bartolotta, who's now taken over the kicking duties, at least for the day, for Missouri, as Tucker McCann has been suspended. Going thick pit on this carry. Barry Odom said there'll be more information forthcoming on Tucker McCann and his status, but currently still on the team, just suspended.
He needs to get in the weight room.
I mean, that's what it was.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing enough work on the bench.
He only benches like 305. I wonder who wins in an arm. I wonder who wins in a leg wrestling contest between those two goons. Look at him over there. It's not often that you would say a couple of kickers are meatheads, but those guys look like just a couple of meatheads over there.
From the 38. Near side high throw. Nice grab from Jacob Sannon. Picks up 4. Perkins on the coverage, and that, of course, that's a loving comment from a football player. It's football player speak. Right?
An asterisk there that meathead is a term of endearment from an offensive line guy. I had to wrestle Bartolotta. I think he was in the hot dog line at halftime.
That didn't go well for you, did it?
I didn't get one. You wouldn't let me cut.
Yeah. 3rd down and 7. Just inside the 35-yard line. Linehan. No help back there to protect him from the Missouri rush, which again forces him to the turf. Trey Williams with that pressure. There have been 10 tackles for loss, 4 pressures, a couple of sacks, and Linehan's been hit a ton
Yeah, no, it's time to bring in the stunt double, man. I mean, you just can't have your guy. If he's going to be the star of your show, you can't have him taking pops like this. You know, we've already touched on it. You know, how long are you going to leave Matt Linehan in there? Yeah, you want to develop character. You also want to have a quarterback that can stand upright next week.
Well, this time he didn't hit the turf,
Linehan is sacked
but a sack.
by number 93.
Caleb Pruitt, or excuse me, Trey Williams, first one there.
That's another $200 for Sack Hunter.
I mean, it's just been a tough day for that offensive line trying to stand up against this front four. And then some for Missouri. It is, and the guy feeling the wrath of all that is number 10 in the white jersey.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I really don't, at this point in time, we've seen Mason Petrino come in there. He's handed the football off. As we mentioned, he plays wide receiver as well. But at some point in time, you have to get somebody else in there to take the snaps from center.
That'll be a first down and then some. Dominic Collins
Complete to number 18.
getting some work. He came in with just 3 catches on the year. He'll pick up 19. Everybody having some fun offensively today for Missouri. Boy, Drew Lock's numbers are just staggering at this point. Locke has thrown for 442 yards, 5 touchdowns, and he did have that pick on his opening pass of the game.
Right, the lone blemish of this game. Had a bad ball earlier in this half. We've seen him take a few shots. That time Tony Lashley able to get in there and get another shot on Locke. The last drive right before the half, you know, he was able to stand and deliver in the face of pressure. He got big numbers again this time.
Give this one to Witter. Ish has a first down at the 28-yard line. Ty Graham brings him down 14 yards for Ish.
Running behind big Adam Pludre, a guy that they said was going to rotate in. This time in at left guard, number 66.
Locke just throws a seed out there to the far side. Picks up 8. Nate Brown on that grab. Nate, redshirt junior out of North Gwinnett High School, just outside of Atlanta. His second catch of the year. Ish can't break the tackle of Caden Ellis. Ellis, boy, what a family. You know, his younger brother playing on this team. Christian Ellis, a true freshman, was a backup linebacker. Of course, his dad joins the staff. Luther, we talked a little bit about him, a 10-year NFL vet, couple of Pro Bowls. Is now on this staff as well, and Paul Petrino couldn't say enough nice things about having Luther on staff and what a great family man he is. Matter of fact, there are 12 kids in the Ellis family. And of those kids, Caden is the oldest. There have been the oldest of 12. There have been 7 adopted children in that family.
You could see just the type of man that Luther Ellis is. Obviously a tremendous football player, but there's more dimensions to him than that. And Paul Petrino, as you mentioned, we took time on our call just to point out the influence that he's had on the program. He wanted Luther Ellis to be a part of his program, thought it would come a couple of years ago. Thought they were going to get some staff turnover, ended up not happening, and now it gets Luther Ellis in there, and just the influence, not just on the defensive front, it says the way the players gravitate to him, not just as a great player, as a former NFL guy, but as a great human being and father.
Locke hit as he throws, but the pass is right on the money. 18 yards out. That is Rashad Floyd with the touchdown, his first of the year, but his second today, the other coming on an 85-yard punt return. Bartolota, point after is up and good. Now he'll jog over there, do a couple of push-ups, get back out for kickoff, and go make a tackle. Rashad Floyd having a day. Matter of fact, the entire team's having a day. 65-14. Tell you what, Big Mo has had a busy day. Matter of fact, as you said, probably he's had enough because he's been hit so much.
He's the only thing that's been hit more than Linehan in this game. It's Big Mo. He's taking a pounding.
So Big Mo's decided to call it a day.
Oh, so they're going to shut it down.
Right.
And even Big Mo said, that's enough, man. I can only take so much. Question would be, is on this possession, will that be true for an Idaho quarterback?
Yeah, Linehan has been hit a bunch today. And he's not the kind of guy that says, Coach, I need a break.
No.
Well, tonight at 10:30 Eastern, our SEC Now team will be back to recap all of the day's games. You can also stream it live on the ESPN app. Dari, Coach Chiz, Chris Doring. Those guys will break it all down for you tonight, 10:30, right here on the SEC Network.
Well, we need to get a gun show of the studio guys. We've seen the kickers in here. I wonder who's got a bunch of Chiz and Doring. They probably do pull-ups during commercial breaks, don't they?
You don't doubt my guy, Peter Burns.
Dari and Burnsy, too, yeah. Sneaky. Sinewy.
Handoff goes to Duckworth. Let's go down to Dawn on the sidelines.
Dave, you guys talking about Matt Linehan. He can take those hits a lot better now than he could 4 years ago. Walked onto campus weighing just 175 pounds. Since then, he has put on 60 pounds. 50 of that came in the past offseason. Said he felt like he needed to be able to protect himself, to be more durable for his team and for his future at quarterback. He's hoping that transformation and weight gain will serve him well at the next level.
It's an amazing transformation of an individual. That didn't even look like the same guy, did it?
No, looked like a guy who ate all the potatoes at the potato bowl. Carb loading.
Look at the numbers for his career. 10,000 passing yards, third in school history. He is just, there's so much to be said. This is a team that early in his career won one game, back-to-back seasons. And last year they go to a bowl game. They win 9 contests. And regardless of what happens here, before they head down to the FCS level next year, Coach Petrino and Matt Linehan, all the seniors and guys that were a part of that team last year should take away the fact that they did something that nobody would expected from Idaho football.
No, it's true. I mean, nobody gave them a whole lot of a chance last year. They posted a really good record in conference. Haven't garnered a ton of respect coming in this year. Of course, we've mentioned they've lost some close games that they could have won and just weren't incapable of closing them out. This game got away from Idaho very, very early.
Ruben Muela will pick up 3 on the quick hitter. And that'll do it for the third quarter. Missouri adds to their lead, now 65-14. Final 15 minutes coming up on the other side. Now that's something I want to see. I'm not doubting you.
Prove it. Yeah, let's see it. We got to see something like that. You can't just throw claims like that around. I'm not saying I don't believe it. I just verify.
65-14. Our score as we start the fourth quarter. Linehan still in there. Boy, that one almost picked off right in the middle of the field. Joey Burkett. Burkett, man, hit him right in the belly, looked like. Out of Jefferson City, Missouri, just down the road a few clicks. Now 4th down and a couple of yards coming up for the Vandals. They'll go for it here from their own 45. That one's batted down at the line of scrimmage. Akil Byers getting his big paw up in the air.
One of those young players for Missouri in that defensive front, a guy that they're looking to kind of not only provide depth. You see Drew Lock, and he doesn't have a helmet in hand. He's done for the day. So we got a quarterback change for Missouri, and the box score will stay as is for Drew Lock on another record-setting day for the offense.
Lock goes for 467 and 6 touchdowns. I think he's earned the right to watch a few plays. And the man getting the ball at quarterback now is Michael Wilson. As we take a look at today's Playing with Style, brought to you by Belk. Pretty simple to figure out who gets this award today, and that's Drew Lock.
Well, he's earned it. You mentioned it. The statistics justify it. It was not a great start. Barry Odom talked about his team bouncing back from the early interception, and boy, did they. Quite a bounce they've got off of what was a rough beginning to this game, and you see that among some pretty accomplished quarterbacks, Tim Couch and Ryan Mallett, with those 5+ TD games.
Larry Roundtree with a nice move in the backfield, but only able to pick up a couple of yards. So Michael Wilson now, the redshirt freshman at quarterback out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Little shovel pass, no gain on the play. Caden Ellis coming up to make the play on Roundtree. You know what I like about Michael Wilson? He's just a good old boy from Tulsa, who says his hobbies are weightlifting and hunting.
Great combo.
What more do you want? He probably hangs out with the guys, the kicking unit.
Yeah. Bartolotta and
Fatoni. Yeah.
Tony back out there. The sun's out, the guns are out.
Well, this is where Fatoni has been so good for Missouri, pinning the opposition back, kicking this one into a pretty good wind. It'll hit at the 5, take a what should have been a bounce Missouri could have handled, but they didn't, and it'll come out to the 20. Cam Hilton gave it a shot, just couldn't stop it. 65-14 our score. You can't get enough Darius Rucker in your broadcast.
No, you got more every chance you get.
Here's our story to tell. Missouri 65-14. Drew Lock 467, 6 touchdown passes. And he has done, that happened in 3 quarters, by the way, folks. All those numbers for Drew. Handoff goes to Duckworth, and a lot of black jerseys surrounding the football right now. Nate Anderson, first one there.
In on the stop, number 29.
Second down and 10. Throw near side, and that one is caught by Unger. You know, we talked about offensive midseason players of the year. How about some defensive midseason players of the year? A couple of candidates. Armani Watts at Texas A&M. Boy, We've had a chance to see him a few times, and he is just an outstanding player. But Roquan Smith at Georgia, he's another guy that I don't think gets a whole lot of attention for the kind of player he is.
Yeah, difference maker in their win versus Louisiana Lafayette. They needed those turnovers to kind of spark that game and break it open. Had the game-sealing winning interception in overtime versus Arkansas. And A&M very quietly might be the second best team in the West Division. They haven't faced LSU. They haven't faced Auburn yet. But they'll get a chance to do that. They're a young football team that's been able to gain experience, sometimes the hard way. You take away that UCLA loss where they blew a huge lead, obviously, in the second half. But they played Alabama well. They've got a chance to finish strong.
Well, they're going to say no catch a moment ago. Incomplete pass, so now it'll bring up fourth down, and we'll have that when we come back.
Ball is presented by Allstate, official protector of college football fans.
Homecoming parade, 106th edition of homecoming here in Columbia, Missouri for the Missouri Tigers. Another festive atmosphere. Goo Goo Dolls, or excuse me, Gin Blossoms in concert. We saw, did we see last year here? We saw Dirks
Bentley.
Who's was his grandfather or somebody?
No, it was his dad.
Dad, yeah. Played ball here at Missouri. Basketball
player. Turkey Bentley was his moniker. Turkey Bentley.
Well, we talked about our midseason offensive players of the year, our midseason, or actually yours, I just kind of tagging along, our midseason defensive players of the year. How about our freshman of the year candidates here in the midseason point? Jake Fromm of Georgia. I mean, who expected him to do what he's doing, leading this Georgia offense? And then Malik Davis down in Florida, averaging almost 100 yards a game over the last 5 games. Why those two guys?
Well, you look at Malik Davis, and obviously Florida offensively, they've had their difficulties. It's been kind of a revolving door at the quarterback spot. And they've had a hard time establishing an offensive identity opposite what was a pretty good defense, one that I think's kind of become a little bit threadbare. A little bit too many snaps, too much reps for the Florida defense. But Malik Davis has been a really bright spot, kind of like John Kelly was or has been for Tennessee offensively. You mentioned Jake Fromm. Nobody thought that he would probably get spot duty. He would certainly play this year. You got to have 2 guys ready. But he's the guy this year so far because that quarterback position is so important, because of the fact that Georgia has performed very, very well offensively. Got his first start on the road versus a Notre Dame team that is really just starting to garner national attention. And Jake Fromm has stepped very ably into that quarterback position in relief of Jacob Eason, and in many ways has supplanted Eason. He's the starter for that Georgia offense and played very well versus Missouri a week ago when the Tiger defense was bent on stopping the run and did so relatively well in that first half. Jake Fromm had the best game of his career as a passer. It was a good strategy by Barry Odom and his team. You come in there and make an offense play left-handed, do something that they weren't comfortable doing. And certainly Jake Fromm proved capable of taking advantage of some of the things that Missouri was doing, borrowing from the secondary to get extra numbers in the box to stop that run.
Michael Wilson in at quarterback, the redshirt freshman. As it's very uncharacteristic to see this Missouri offense kind of in a standstill at the line of scrimmage. Throw it out near side. Nate Brown. Pick up 8 as Brown scoops it up off the turf. It's interesting what's going to happen to Georgia down the road with their quarterback position. I mean, they're bringing in perhaps the #1 recruit in the entire country.
Right.
Has committed, verbally committed to Georgia. And now they've got, obviously a logjam there as it is as they move forward. Somebody's going to be left out.
Well, and in this day and age, this is the age of the transfer. How many times do we see it? We talk about teams and they're able to bring in new faces at quarterback from the JUCO ranks as graduate transfers that come into programs, and they're able to step right in and contribute. And Jacob Eason, and a lot can happen. Right? We got half a season basically yet to play. Georgia's going to face one of the best defenses they've seen all season long in Florida, coming both teams off a bye week. Jacob Eason, they need him to keep his head in it. But at the end of the season, if Fromm's able to go wire to wire, right now you have to wonder, what do my prospects look like at a position where it's not like, what am I going to go do? Learn to be a tight end? It's just not going to happen. Jacob Eason, a pocket passer, a prototypical body type. I'd be surprised if he didn't evaluate some things depending on what that position looks like, especially after signing him.
If you're Georgia, good problem to have, though. Right?
Well, it's a blessed problem to have. I mean, there's enough teams out there that are saying, look, we need depth at quarterback. They don't have the guy up front that's starting that they like already. Georgia's got two, I think, that they would be more than comfortable trotting out there to take the snaps. But right now, Jake Fromm's got a team that's playing well around him as a true freshman. Drew Lock was forced into service his true freshman year due to injury. A guy that, it's hard to cut your teeth in this league at the most important position on the field versus these defenses.
Pickup of 6 for Wilson. By the way, Roundtree, 97 yards on the ground for Missouri today. This season high was 41 yards against Missouri State in the opener on 11 carries. But Roundtree very busy today with 12 carries and a long of 53. Sitting on 97 yards. Ish Witter with 9 carries for 41 yards. All told, Missouri's offense has again put up some monumental numbers. Dawson Downing, he gets the carry down to the 5-yard line, and you can add to Missouri's total 26 more yards with 658 yards of offense.
First down and goal. MIC.
So Downing and Wilson in the backfield. They'll give it to Downing, and he'll be hit right at the 5 and stop there. Only a yard on the play. Coming up for Missouri after this one, they go to UConn, a team that's been struggling. And then they're home against Florida, Tennessee, and then they finish up with 2 games on the road at Vanderbilt, at Arkansas. You look at this schedule, and certainly, it's hard to say what Florida really is or isn't.
Right.
But I would say the way this is shaped out, those are games, if you're Missouri, you feel like you might have a chance to win those games.
Well, and a game like this is important to Missouri. And we talk about the stats that have been piled up, the scoring margin, the offense has played well, a defense that I think has put together one of its best performances. It's confidence for Missouri. And Barry Odom mentioned that in our meetings with him. He said, look, we're kind of a fragile team mentally. These guys, they want to be confident in their play. But is it real? Is their play backing it up? And I think a game like this, if they can take away from this some genuine, authentic confidence
right
on both sides of the ball. Special teams played well today. Got a punt return for a touchdown. Can you build on that? We mentioned the Georgia game, the Kentucky game. Are those cornerstones for a season to finish strong? A year ago, Missouri was a different team in the second half of the season. And, you got a new head coach in Barry Odom, a guy who was familiar with the roster, but not from the head coach's seat. Had to put together his staff. He's transitioned his staff again this year during the season. He's changed some personnel on the defensive side of the ball. He's one of those guys that he's still figuring it out, I think. This Missouri team probably has some of its best football still in front of them.
Ty Graham with an excellent tackle on Michael Wilson. That'll set up a 4th down.
Fourth down and goal.
So here's Bartolotta, 20-yard field goal attempt. He has hit from 33. He did miss an extra point earlier today, the only blemish. And he splits the uprights. 68-14, our score late in the 4th quarter. Barry Odom has seen his team put up 68 points here today on homecoming. And, we've been talking about midseason players of the year in certain categories, but how about our coach of the year at the midway point of the year? Kirby Smart at Georgia, of course. It's incredible. that he has put together this team that's so balanced on both sides of the ball right now. But you think Kevin Sumlin should be in that discussion for what he's been able to do at Texas A&M?
You know, I do. I mean, we've seen Texas A&M start out hot and then collapse down the stretch before. They've had difficulty retaining some of their talent. They have personnel turnover, especially the quarterback spot. And yet this year, they came in game one. You lose your would-be starter in Starkler. You end up having to play a true freshman. But I'm going to go with Kirby Smart, and it's hard not to point to that, the way Georgia has been dominating in their victories in this season so far, only in year two, and you're playing a true freshman at quarterback, and albeit one that I think at this point is the freshman of the year, he's done an excellent job of navigating this season, knowing that you had to change that quarterback position. You got a capable guy behind him. You know, that's something that can potentially even divide, if not distract, a football team. Hasn't been the case. It's a defense that's playing up to a standard right now. And if they continue to do that, it's shaping up to be potentially an East Division winning season for Georgia in only year two for Kirby Smart.
Mason Petrino in at quarterback now for Idaho. He'll hand it off. That one goes to Thigpen, no gain on that play. Well, you take a look around the conference, and only two teams undefeated at 7-0 in the country right now. Tennessee, they've got problems. I mean, you can start with their offense, but there are a lot of issues going on in Knoxville.
It was hard. You know, we saw Tennessee just in week two, and even then, they weren't at full strength. Never going to be. You know, you lose Juwan Jennings at wide receiver, kind of an alpha personality on the offensive side, and obviously Dan Kirkland Jr. at linebacker. This is just a team and a roster that couldn't sustain that type of attrition. They've seen more since, and now a ton of turbulence, even in the coaches' offices. You know, whether or not there's going to be a change there. Tons of distraction at Rocky Top right now.
You know, we always talk about the head coach, but sometimes lost in that discussion are all the assistant coaches who are going to be out of a job and what they're going through, trying to get ready for games and worried about their future and families as well.
No, yeah, that's the thing I think that does get lost. You're right. It's not just the head coach. And then of course, there's a trickle-down effect. It impacts video coordinators. Right. I mean, the staff themselves can be compromised when there's a change. But you're looking at the way some of these programs are performing relative to their expectations. And it'd be surprising if there isn't a 180-degree turn based on the performance we've seen thus far, that there won't be some changes at some programs throughout college football and possibly in the Southeastern Conference.
4th down and 1. Mason Petrino. Handoff goes to Saunders, and he'll pick up the 1st down. He'll blow the whistle as he hits midfield. Well, for this Idaho team, of course, their last hurrah. They're only playing with really 72 scholarships right now. Of course, the FBS allows 85. Next year, and the FCS level, they'll be down to 63 scholarships. So we were talking to Paul Petrino about that, and says that the way things are working out with some of the guys on his roster, that they should get to that point without much of stress placed on some of the current student athletes that'll be back next year. And they'll enter a tough league, the Big Sky. And they'll start getting back on the field with Montana on a regular basis, one of their big rivals. But certainly, you know, I think from last year, the 9-4 season, they go to a bowl game, they win it over Colorado State. For the Idaho Vandal fans and football fans, you know, it's a tough thing for them to endure, to take a step back, if you will.
No question. I mean, you could tell even in our conference call and visits with Paul Petrino in the bowl game a season ago. And the disappointment, obviously, with that transition, and then the season this year. And as you noted, that transition's already begun from a scholarship standpoint. You know, there aren't many teams. In fact, it's somewhat unprecedented to make the move down. There's enough where the FBS ranks have grown and grown in number, where teams are transitioning upward, that you see a team that's working its way back down. We've had 2 different stints in the Sun Belt Conference. And now, as you mentioned, they'll spend some time in the Big Sky Conference.
They will take on Florida next year, though. Gators on their schedule in 2018. Like a lot of FCS teams, they'll go chase a Power 5 school and get paid a ton of money to go do it. Petrino stops, throws toward the end zone, and that one is caught around the 2-yard line by Unger. Pick up a 35 as he gets out of bounds with 1:29, but a flag back in the backfield area right where Petrino threw the football.
I think they might get a roughing the passer here. Mason Petrino delivering this football, ended up getting flushed out of the pocket, rolling to his left, throwing against his body, gloved hand and all.
Personal foul, targeting on the defense number 25. That play is under review.
Not just a roughing the passer, a targeting coming in high. I'll be surprised if that targeting is upheld on Jamal Brooks, a true freshman.
But regardless, though, look how, I mean, he's got to stop. He's 2 steps, 3 steps.
Oh, you got to pull up. It's
I mean,
the targeting. You know, that was the call on the field, was for targeting. And, you know, to me, it looked like he led with his left shoulder. The forcible contact was, you see right there, yeah, it's helmet to helmet. Forcible contact being part of the definition of the rule. I would be surprised if that targeting penalty is upheld. You see Barry Odom, defensive-minded guy, a hard-nosed player in his own right. He's over there saying, look, the whole goal of the targeting penalty is to change your target as a defensive player, and the rule has done its job. You can see, guys, there have been some pretty violent collisions, sure, but they haven't been head hunting. They've lowered that target zone.
After review, there is no foul for target. First down.
Still got to lower that strike zone, though.
Yeah. No, you got to be smart about it. You shouldn't even, the flag shouldn't even have to come out. You see Michael Shearer over there on the sideline. We're talking to Brooks as well. A former inside linebacker. Actually was injured and hurt his knee during homecoming last year versus Middle Tennessee in a defeat that game that kind of shocked Missouri. Lost Terry Beckner in that game as well. Shearer obviously exhausting his eligibility, now helping his alma mater as a coach, or at least contributing in that capacity on the sideline.
So another whistle will stop it as Thigpen got stopped short of the goal line. Flag down. It's right on the sideline over there, right on top of the white stripe at the 2-yard line on the far side of the field.
Illegal formation on the offense, 5 men in the backfield. 5-yard penalty, replay first down.
After the penalty, first and goal at the 7.
Petrino nowhere to run. Another tackle behind the line. That'll be number 11 on the day for Missouri. Idaho trying to put 7 on the board before this one closes out. They take a timeout. Back in a moment. Missouri trying to close this one out. They lead at 68-14. Idaho trying to get a little boost in confidence, perhaps, as they try to stick one in the end zone here with 56 seconds to play. Mason Petrino leading this drive for the Vandal offense, going with the dual glove look.
Tom Brady, didn't Tom Brady go gloved a couple of times?
He did.
The best ever can do it.
On second down and goal from the 10. They'll fake the toss sweep. Petrino rolling right, will throw on the run. And that one is caught touchdown, Idaho. David Unger, 10-yard touchdown pass. His second touchdown reception for Unger today.
Petrino and Unger are developing some chemistry on that drive. See Unger celebrating. He's been in the end zone. Idaho able to get back up on the board.
Not a whole lot of positives today for Idaho, but certainly that touchdown will help a little bit on the way back to Moscow. So the coach's son with the touchdown pass. Nice drive by Mason Petrino and a good throw. Didn't have a whole lot of room there. 9 plays, 65 yards. Took up 3.5 minutes off the clock.
You see Petrino over there celebrating with a, I don't know if it was like a ball boy or something. Had a Missouri Tigers shirt on.
That was solid.
And you know what? The ball boy looked genuinely excited. A guy that was obviously of the Missouri Tiger persuasion. Happy to see the Vandals get in the end zone again. Number 10's just ready to get out of here. Probably glad that he hadn't been out there for the last couple of series.
LSU and Ole Miss tonight, 7:15 on ESPN. Does Ole Miss have enough in that one?
You know, LSU is going to have to go back, kind of revert back to the way they played versus Mississippi State and Troy, I think. Ole Miss, as we mentioned earlier, so one-dimensional offensively. And they've got great size at receiver, but you talk about a talented defensive backfield at LSU. And their secondary, they've got length, they've got speed and ability to erase some of that size differential and opportunity that Ole Miss has enjoyed throughout this season with Shea Patterson.
Told you that was
that brisk breeze you've been talking about.
Yeah. Told you it would impact the game. Told you.
You were right, Dave. They've had to do this a couple of times. It's completely changed the kickoff.
Cade Coffee. Send that one through the end zone and out to the 25-yard line. We will go. So Missouri will have a chance to enjoy this one. An early kick will give them some time to mingle with their friends and family a little bit, enjoy it a little bit longer than some other games, and try to improve in the second half. And as we talked about, there are some winnable games on that schedule coming up for Missouri, and how much of an impact will this outing have on that to be determined.
Well, you mentioned they got to make a trip, play UConn, a return trip there, and you know, depending on what happens, who knows? You know, maybe that Georgia-Florida matchup tenderizes the Gators just enough for Missouri to squeak out another victory, but a big confidence builder in this matchup here today.
And Missouri will take one more knee and call it an afternoon. Barry Odom is saying we don't need to take a knee. Clock, yep, there you go. Yeah, there you go. They don't need to take another snap. This one's over. It's in the books. Put it to bed. 68-21. Idaho scored the first touchdown of the game, and then 37 straight by Missouri gave them a comfortable lead, and they would end up winning this one 68-21, the final score. Snaps a 5-game losing streak for Missouri, and now Idaho has lost 3 consecutive ball games. And let's go down to Dawn.
Well, Coach Odom, Drew Lock, 467 yards, 6 touchdowns. What was it that clicked with him and his receivers today?
Well, look at what they've done the last 3 weeks, really, on being able to complete some down the field throws, and then also our perimeter screen game really helped us out. Also blocking on the perimeter, saw Jonathan Johnson getting some great blocks and springing guys, and then the receivers running after catch really added to that. So. Good start for him. After the bad start, rebounded, did a nice job.
Defensively, 12 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. Is this the most or close to the most complete game you've seen out of that unit?
No, we did some good things, things that we're continuing to build on. We've got, a number of new faces that we're moving around, but again, I think when we get our defensive line, A.J. Logan back, really helped us this week. We'll continue to build on that.
You're without Demario Crockett. How would you assess what you got on the ground game without him because of that shoulder?
Yeah, I thought our offensive line did a nice job. job, giving us room to run. Obviously, we've got a great challenge here the next 5 weeks on being able to continue to do that. But Roundtree has, got some explosiveness. It's a tough physical kid, and Ish has been great all year.
Thank you, Coach. Congrats.
Yep.
Drew Lock finishes 467 through the air, 6 touchdowns in just 3 quarters of work, and Moore had a heck of a day with 11 catches as well. Missouri wins at 68-21. Time for us to get out of here. For Matt Stinchcomb, Dawn Davenport, I'm Dave Neal. Coming up next, SEC Now. Let's get you to Peter Burns.